Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings explained. There has been a lot of questions, hitting in the comments sections among lots of Shang-Chi fans. The movie was a big hit by the MCU universe, but a lot of comic fans were kept in a puzzling box thinking, what's the deal with those rings? And why did the color of those rings change when the rings were collected from Wenwu by Shang-Chi during their duel in the last parts of the movie, cause there were not enough light shaded on the rings in the hit movie. The 10 rings are central to the story, the vessel for the Mandarin to exercise dominance over the world, but even if they are eventually transferred to Shang-Chi, their origin is never explained. What could we say about the rings? In the movie, the 10 rings are unlike really anything we've seen before. They're a blend of tech and mysticism with a purposefully murky origin, like you are watching an Iron Man movie mixed with some Doctor Strange in it, with lots of Asians. If you are familiar with the comics, you would notice that even the rings themselves changed. The 10 rings were not armbands, but 10-finger rings of power, each with their own unique abilities. That was totally changed for the film, and no doubt made all those fight scenes much better. As I said, could really look like another Doctor Strange movie. The after-credits scene of Shang-Chi, the first one has Wong, a mystical expert, consulting Bruce Banner, who's a scientific expert, and another Avengers, Captain Marvel, who's an alien expert, about the rings' origins. It could be seen in the scene that no one has any clue where these rings are from and what they actually are. But he discovered that they are broadcasting some sort of beacon to somewhere. That really tells us that there are a lot of alien shits attached to the rings. If we look back to the comics for answers, we would see that the comic gives an answer to all the unanswered questions. I'm not so sure we can trust it to be a roadmap for what Marvel has planned going forward here. After all, Shang-Chi did not rely on a specific storyline for the plot of the film, as though it used elements of the character and its comic history. This was an original tale. If we go back to the storyline from the comics, it explains that the 10 rings are actually power sources for an alien spaceship created by the Makluans, a race of space dragons. The Mandarin originally got his hands on them by finding a crashed Makluan ship and killing Axonn-Karr, who warned him against taking the rings. If you try and connect the storyline from the comics and the scene from the after-credit scene, the idea might be that the 10 rings are calling out as a beacon to the Makluans, a race which includes the likes of famed comic dragon Fin Fang Foom, which many thought may show up in Shang-Chi. But this is where things really get confusing. The Makluans and Fin Fang Foom are not in Shang-Chi. Even though we are intimately dealing with giant magic dragons, that's the Great Protector, which does not appear to be a Makluan alien, but rather a mystical being in the Ta-Lo dimension. And what seems like it's being indicated to me is an idea that perhaps we're not teasing a race of space dragons as an invading force in the future of the MCU, which would seem a bit odd after dealing with different giant dragons in Shang-Chi's premiere. In short, I don't think we can know what Marvel has planned for the 10 rings, but I would not be surprised to see them rewriting their origin story to better suit their purposes. In truth, we don't actually know for sure what Marvel's big bad threat is supposed to be for this coming phase, similar to how we eventually got to Thanos. There seems to be a team of anti-Avengers being assembled. Yelena Belova, US agent, but on the cosmic level. Eternals is teasing the arrival of Axonn the Searcher, a celestial, that some have gotten confused with Galactus, and yet many think it's Galactus himself who will eventually be the next main threat of the MCU. Given that we're getting a Fantastic Four movie down the road here, the other option is Kong the Conqueror, after the multiverse-based events of Loki. I just don't really see the Makluans fitting into all this. Are them being the answer to the 10 rings tech or the beacon question in Shang-Chi?
One eternity later.
But still, I may be wrong, and this is definitely supposed to be some sort of Fin Fang Foom teaser for a sequel, but I think something else is at work here, and what we can only do now is to sit tight, turn on your notifications, to get notified when we drop new contents to discuss on Marvel. Like and click that subscribe button, and don't forget to comment what you think. To get more amazing content like this, thank you, gracias.